Come on down, stop on by, hop a carpet and fly. This is Disney's Aladdin on the Sega Genesis. Released in 1993, based on the animated film of the same name from 1992, this platforming adventure sought to capitalize on the eventual home video release of the film and give children more excuse to siphon money out of their parents' wallets. Sega Genesis owners were in for a treat, as this edition went on to be the 4th best-selling game on the console. As far as film adaptation video games go from the 90s, this was a diamond in the rough. From the title screen, you're presented with some basic options on difficulty, sound, and you get to assign buttons on the gamepad, something that was not typically offered at that time. Even though the manual went through all the items you would encounter in the game, once you start the gameplay, you get a quick visual guide to show the items and what they do. A quick and nice touch. The gameplay loop is usually some story panels, a title screen for the level, and then Aladdin platforming his way through the stage, and possibly followed by bonus stages as well. Most times the goal is to reach the end of the level, but sometimes there's a goal to collect a certain amount of special items like scarab pieces or flutes. But really, as long as you're paying attention to your surroundings as you go through levels, you don't have to stray too far from the stage's intended route anyways. Controls were generally okay, as you only needed to worry about jumping, attacking with your scimitar, or throwing your limited supply of apples as projectiles. The fact that you can assign the controls made it even easier and versatile to suit your own thumb style. Stages weren't too difficult overall, but you could definitely feel the difficulty raise the further along you went. Each new level would add more complex platforming and harder enemies to deal with placed in smarter locations. I'll tell you what though, if you make it past the intense Cave of Wonders escape levels in one continue,
I owe you a Coke.
Fun levels, but man are they hard. I found the responsiveness of the controls to be pretty inconsistent though. Most times they were perfectly fine and others they would suddenly get unregistered. Got pretty frustrating, but thankfully not enough to make me stop playing. Speaking of inconsistency, the hitboxes seemed to have a mind of their own, or sometimes didn't make sense from a video game perspective. I think I know what the problem was though, but I'll have to get into that in the graphics section. Along with the main gameplay, there are also items you can collect to activate bonus stages once you finish a level. The most common one being a genie-themed single-slot style game to get extra lives or extra apples. Of course, there's also a Jafar icon you can land on that just outright ends your bonus stage no matter how many tries you have left. As if being the villain wasn't enough, he has to ruin my good time too. The other bonus stage features Aladdin's monkey pal, Abu, where he has to avoid falling objects. Don't ask me what the reward is because I could never actually finish these stages, but I assume it's lives or continues or something. The gameplay of Disney's Aladdin gets a 7 out of 10. Alright, as an animation buff, and this being my favorite Disney film ever, I'm about to gush. Visually, this game is everything you wanted out of an Aladdin video game. All the animations are smooth and charming, colors are bright and crisp in outdoor day levels, while dungeons and cave levels have a dimness that balances sharpness and mood enough that you're not squinting to make out the details. All platforms and traps achieve the difficult task of integrating seamlessly into the background while also being clear enough to let the player know what they are. This, however, is what I believe added to the inconsistent hitbox issues I mentioned earlier. When visuals are so much more realistic, it's hard to determine where hitboxes need to stop and start. Everything animated so nicely that I had a theory, and very quick research confirmed it. During development, this game had a team of actual Disney animators hand-drawing all the character motions. These would later get digitized into the pixel art that we see in the game. I can only imagine how nice the hand-drawn stuff looks, and I hope that it's not lost to time. Aladdin constantly ranks high on Genesis visuals lists, so it should be no surprise that the graphics for this game gets a 10 out of 10. Being an adaptation of a musical film, of course you're going to have a lot of classics represented. Tracks like Prince Ali or Friend Like Me got restructured to fit video game levels without lyrics, and they work nicely. Meanwhile, they also added a lot of extra music too for less important levels. They all sound like they belong, but it's pretty easy to tell the film music from the exclusive music. No shade on the game exclusive music though. There's one track that plays during Abu's bonus stage that almost feels like it doesn't belong because it's so epic. I later found out that the same track was also used for the intense cave escape stages. It was that good that they doubled up its usage. Meanwhile, sound effects are all crisp and just as charming as the animation itself. They even had a few dialogue tracks that would play throughout the game, just to make you feel like you're playing the film more. There was this one grunt that always quips, "Come on!" at me, and I was more than happy to oblige him. The music and sound of Disney's Aladdin gets a 9 out of 10. So, I know I said Aladdin is my favorite Disney film ever, but it didn't actually start off that way. I never cared much for Disney as a kid when it came out in theaters, and really, I only got into it once my sister was gifted the home release. At this time too, I didn't have a Genesis, and never cared to get the game on the Super Nintendo anyways. It took some rewatches of the film to have it grab hold of me, possibly awakening something in me for animation and storytelling. Prior to that though, I would visit a cousin who did own a Genesis and this game. So while all the adults were hanging out upstairs, we kids would play the likes of this and Sonic 2. I don't think I ever saw stages beyond level 2 back then, but the animation, the gameplay, and the charm just stuck with me. The nostalgia hit gets an 8 out of 10. This game absolutely played a big part in my loving of the Aladdin franchise, and playing it again, I can see that it still holds up so well today. Yes, it's a very simple game by today's standards, but the visuals and sound will keep you hooked. There's a reason it's the 4th best-selling Sega Genesis game, and I would implore you to give it a try sometime. It may open a whole new world.